Good morning, it's Friday the 9th of September. It's the first 10 days of mourning in honour of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
7.
Normal programmes have been suspended because of the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. The statement issued by Buckingham
We have some very important news. Buckingham Palace has just announced that Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II has died.
A few moments ago, Buckingham Palace announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
So let's take a moment to reflect on that news.
At 12:39 on Thursday, viewers of Bargain Hunt were startled when the screen faded to black on BBC One to be replaced by the serious face of BBC News presenter Joanna Gosling.
We have had news from Buckingham Palace that the Queen is under medical supervision at Balmoral.
The nation paused and an afternoon of anxious scrolling began while the royal family all headed for Balmoral to be by her side. The statement from Her Majesty's doctor said she'd been placed under medical supervision because of concern for her health, but that she was comfortable. In the House of Commons, Nadhim Zahawi was seen entering mid-debate on energy prices and communicating urgently with Prime Minister Liz Truss and then both Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner. Shortly after that, Speaker of the House, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, made an announcement.
I know I speak on behalf of the entire House when I say that we send our best wishes to Her Majesty the Queen and that she and the royal family are in our thoughts and prayers at this moment.
However, at 6:32 p.m, the formal announcement was made that Queen Elizabeth II had died.
The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon.
She was 96 years of age and had ruled since February 1952. She was Britain's longest reigning monarch and the second longest reigning monarch in history. King Charles III immediately ascends to the throne, and he and the Queen Consort Camilla are expected to travel to London on Friday. New Prime Minister Liz Truss, who only met with the Queen on Tuesday morning as she was sworn in as PM, paid tribute to the long-serving monarch.
Queen Elizabeth II was the rock on which modern Britain was built. Our country has grown and flourished under her reign. Britain is the great country it is today because of her.
Labour Party leader Sir Keir Starmer also offered his condolences to the royal family and recognised her devotion to her role and the unique position she had in British life.
For the vast majority of us, the late Queen has been simply the Queen, the only Queen, above all else, our Queen.
First Minister of Scotland Nicola Sturgeon joined in the tributes, noting that Her Majesty was at Balmoral in the last days of her life.
Scotland loved, respected and admired her, and by all accounts Her Majesty was really happier than when she was here in Scotland at her beloved Balmoral.
Tributes also flowed in from leaders around the world, with Brazilian President Bolsonaro declaring 3 days of mourning and statements from both US President Joe Biden and former Presidents Trump and Obama. French President Emmanuel Macron described her as a kind-hearted queen who was a friend of France. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau recognised Her Majesty's steady grace and resolve in a complicated world.
Canada is in mourning. She was one of my favourite people in the world, and I will miss her so.
Ireland's Taoiseach Micheál Martin also paid tribute and expressed support for the British people and her family. Her historic visit to Ireland in 2011 was seen as a key moment in rebuilding Anglo-Irish relations.
Her commitment to and support for the Good Friday Agreement, reconciliation and mutual understanding was critical to advancing positive relations on these islands.
As the nation begins 10 days of mourning, flags will be flown at half-mast and preparations begin for a royal funeral. There's a detailed plan prepared in the event that she died in Scotland, which includes a ceremonial procession along the Royal Mile in Edinburgh. The coffin will then be flown back to London, returning to Buckingham Palace in preparation for lying in state at the Palace of Westminster. There will follow a full state funeral, most likely at the end of the 10-day mourning period. Already on Thursday evening, mourners were gathering outside Buckingham Palace and Windsor Palace, where some spoke to Channel 4 News.
It's just very sad. I thought she would always live forever, and obviously that wasn't happened, and I'm glad she died peacefully, and I just feel like a bit of us has all died, really.
Still to come on the Smart 7, the government moves on energy prices and the war in Ukraine continues. Right after this. Welcome back.
3,
In other news, Thursday afternoon saw Prime Minister Liz Truss move decisively on the energy crisis in the UK. She's scrapping the existing Ofgem price cap and instead creating an energy price guarantee that will kick in from October the 1st and last for up to 2 years to give the government time to address the underlying issues in the energy market.
This guarantee, which includes a temporary suspension of green levies, means that from the 1st of October, a typical household will pay no more than £2,500.
She says the plan will help to curb inflation, but it will not be funded by a windfall tax. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer was unimpressed.
But this support does not come cheap. And the real question before the House today is who is going to pay?
Ukrainian troops continue to push hard in their new offensive against Russian forces. It appears they've already recaptured significant amounts of territory in the east and south. There was more good news too, as US Defence Secretary Lloyd Austin, at a meeting of defence ministers in Ramstein, Germany, announced a further round of support following on from last week's $2 billion aid package. President Zelensky hailed the efforts of the Ukrainian army in Kharkiv on Thursday evening.
In total, more than 1,000 square kilometers of our territory have been liberated since September 1st. I am grateful to everyone who made it happen. I am grateful to the army, intelligence officers, and special services for every Ukrainian flag that has been hoisted these days.
Donald Trump's former advisor Steve Bannon surrendered to authorities in New York on Thursday. He's accused of money laundering and conspiracy over a build-a-wall scheme. New York Attorney General Letitia James says he cheated everyday Americans and stole millions to line his pockets. It comes as a Washington grand jury appears to be investigating Donald Trump's Save America PAC, which was set up to investigate and fight election fraud. Bannon's already been pardoned by Donald Trump on similar federal charges, but the pardon doesn't apply to these state-level charges and he's now facing a trial. He wasn't taking it well, as he was led into court in handcuffs.
This is what happens the last days of the dying regime. They will never shut me up. They'll kill me first. I have not yet begun to fight.
This has been The Smart 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great day. Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.